Kicking off part 11 of the Morris Ambulance Resto Mod build. So here we go. The prop shaft's away being modified to fit the ambulance. So whilst that's being done, and I can't test out the clutch and the brakes and everything I've been working on, decided to make haste and get on with some of the ancillaries like the lights. So first job, try and get the old rotten light bulbs and bulb holders out, get it all cleaned up, disconnect any old wiring, then set about bringing the Nissan, undoing some of the loom, bringing the Nissan wiring loom through to where the lights are on the Morris, identifying which wires do what, because the colours don't really follow convention, but identify which ones do what and start to hook them up to the brand new LED Land Rover headlights. I say Land Rover headlights, they're a 7-inch unit, so used on Minis, Land Rovers, all sorts of things, and this ambulance also has 7-inch headlights. So I wanted LED headlights because it's just a little bit of something that'll tell you that this isn't a standard ambulance, and of course it'll make it much more usable than sealed beam units. As great as they are, I have had them in my Morris Minor in the past, and I just think they're dangerous, they're pathetic. So LED it is. So here I'm using these shrink connectors, so they make a water seal, and they have some solder in them which flows to make a good joint. So they're sort of, I think, the best of both worlds between soldering the wires together and a crimp connection. They're quick, they're convenient, you get a proper joint, and they're sealed, so they're pretty good. Right, here's the state of the back lights. All corroded, and actually the middle lights weren't even wired up at all. So what I've done is I've got some button LEDs, I've used these on my Renown, and I've taken out all the innards and fitted these button LEDs inside, so they look like a classic car light, but they've got an LED inside. This is the Nissan rear lighting board, and this plug here plugs straight into the loom for the rear light, so let's make use of that and save ourselves some work. So run that down the chassis to the back, and now what I'm doing is I'm wiring up those LEDs. There we go, so that's the LEDs in the old holders. And then when I bought the windscreen, the lady also had this ice cream tub full of lenses, so we don't want the plastic ones because they fade, we want the glass ones, which obviously are getting a bit rare now because people keep breaking them, but I managed to get them. Although I haven't got a full complement of the deep red ones, so the middle ones, which are the brake lights, are the flatter ones, but I think that makes sense and that works. Next job was start looking at the coolant pipes. So I've got silicone hoses, 90 degree and 45 degree bends, and what I've done is I've coupled them up using some aluminium pipe. I also need a header tank for the water system, and I need a way of joining the header tank into the main top hose. So what I'm doing is machining up out of a bit of aluminium another union light, and then this will get, there it is there, and then this will get TIG welded into a piece of the aluminium pipe and join the silicone hoses together and join the header tank into the main circuit, if you will. It probably makes sense once I've done it. So here we are using the Evolution Mitre chop saw. What a bit of kit this is, really impressed with it. So there we go, that's fitted in there. Now it's time to TIG weld it in. Now here I'm using the AC/DC TIG from Artec Welding. It did the job rather nicely. Good bit of alley practice for me, and yeah, it just goes to show if you've got the kit and a little bit of know-how, you can make things in your own workshop to your own design. There it is there. So the other problem I've got with the header tank is it needs to be mounted as high up as possible, but also I need to be able to fill it, and the issue is with the ambulance is you put it as high up as possible, the filler cap's right up in the dashboard, you can't get to it. So my idea was to cut off the cap off the header tank, put a piece of aluminium tube to extend it, to give it a neck, a long neck that comes through the dashboard, in much the same way that the original ambulance radiator cap did. And then you can fill it from inside the cab, you can get it as high up under the dash as possible, and also that filler neck will give me some extra water capacity and extra head. So there it is there, installed. Hopefully that makes sense, and then you can see there's the header tank union, and there's the union that I welded onto the main hose there. So they'll get joined together with a bit of hose, and that'll make a circuit. Next job was to fit the electric fan. Apparently I don't need the instructions. So this will go on the back of the radiator, so draw the air through it because that's more efficient. It is a push-pull, so I could put it on the front. So we've bought that. We've done away with the viscous fan because that's now where your feet go. So this has got a thermostat to control it that I can adjust. That's gone on the dashboard. It happened to fit perfectly in an existing hole, which is always nice. And there it is there. So that will come on at the temperature that I set on the dash. With that done, onto the wipers. What I want to do here is graft in the Nissan Cabster wiper motor into the Morris wiper mechanism. So I managed to get the old one out, and they were really similar actually. The reason I want to do this is that the Nissan wiper motor has 2 speeds and the intermittent capability, and if you're using something regularly, which I'm planning to use this fan regularly, you do need some decent wipers. Now I can't use the Nissan mechanism in the Morris because the wipers go in parallel to each other, side to side together. With the Morris, they go in opposing directions, and that's because the Morris has got a 2-part windscreen. Although this isn't the correct windscreen, and I have got a correct windscreen, the correct windscreen is still in 2 parts. Anyway, with a bit of fiddling about, I did manage to get them to go together, and I now have intermittent and 2-speed wipers, although I'm going to have to fiddle around with the blades. So the final job was to put the top of the Nissan tank on the Morris tank so that the fuel gauge would work.